Welcome to Environmental Intelligence, episode 37 for May 28th, 2026, your daily environmental intelligence briefing. Here's what changed overnight in the environmental regulatory landscape. No new Canadian provincial or federal environmental regulatory announcements or enforcement actions reported today. The pre-fetched sources contain no qualifying developments under CEPA, provincial contaminated-sites regimes, or related compliance frameworks. Practitioners should use the quiet period to review internal procedures ahead of typical Q2 reporting cycles. Monitor federal and provincial gazettes for any late May notices on CCME-aligned updates. No Canadian regulatory, enforcement, or contaminated-private sites developments appear in today's sources that meet selection criteria for this briefing. Regulatory and Policy Watch contains no items today. Science and Technical Coverage contains no items today. Industry and Practice contains no items today. Now, speaking of monitoring well variability, here's something I wish someone had told me early in my career. You arrive at a former service station to resample after the Phase 2 flagged benzene above CSR Schedule 6 standards in one well but not the adjacent one 8 meters up gradient. The difference is not random. Vertical hydraulic gradients and subtle layering in the fill unit often routed dissolved phase mass along preferential pathways that standard 2-inch wells with 1.5 meter screens can miss or average out. BC CSR Protocol 4 and Ontario OREG 153/04 both require documentation of screen placement relative to the water table and any observed stratification. Experienced assessors log the exact elevation of the pump intake and compare it against previous low-flow stabilization data rather than assuming uniform aquifer conditions. The insight that separates seasoned practitioners is recognizing that a single non-detect does not disprove plume extent when the well screen straddles a low permeability lens. The most common mistake is immediately declaring the plume delineated or reduced. The fix is to install a short-screened well or use a multi-level sampler at the same location before adjusting the conceptual site model or risk assessment assumptions. If you're working on groundwater monitoring in British Columbia or Ontario, review current Q2 sampling protocols against CCME and provincial low-flow guidance to confirm intake placement documentation. Update internal templates to capture vertical gradient measurements on every monitoring event. Brief project managers on the need for multi-level confirmation when nested wells show inconsistent results. Watch for any late May postings in the Canada Gazette Part 1 regarding CEPA toxic substances updates. Check Alberta and BC ministry sites for any scheduled EPEA or EMA guidance revisions expected before end of June. Confirm laboratory turnaround commitments for any pending annual compliance reports due in early July. Tomorrow, watch for any late May postings in the Canada Gazette Part 1 regarding CEPA toxic substances updates. That's environmental intelligence for today. If this briefing is useful to your practice, share it with a colleague and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. We're back tomorrow. Have a productive day. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.